Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Logan Kelly titled I'm Not Sorry, and if we switch over to here, it's very rare that I find a fellow Logan, let alone a musician that is a fellow Logan, so that's dope. As a Logan myself, I'm proud to be reviewing another Logan's track, so without further ado we're going to listen through this track from start till finish. We're going to hear what we think. Let's go, what do we got? I'm Not Sorry.
I just called to say that I'm not sorry.
Great presence of the voice. Interesting synth sounds.
Take it as a love letter, take it as a heartbreak.
Solid vocal technique.
I just called to say that I'm not bothered. 'Cause I know that you got what you wanted anyway. Want it anyway.
Great thematic development. Bringing up those kicks for a build. I kind of appreciate the fact that the guy's clearly a talented singer and very confident on a mic, but at the same time we've also got the situation where just when I listen to the guy, it's not just his voice that is the focal point. You've got these lovely synth sequences and arpeggiators going around the track, a really great sort of approach with the percussion where not only are the beats engaging and groovy, but they're also fluctuating around the stereo field, and I like the fact that things are going all over the place, like the snares are going to the left. It's got that kind of... There's a lot of attention to detail here. Kind of floats. It's very pretty sounding. Interesting oscillation there. It's an unusual effect. I mean, it's nice and short, it's 2 minutes 30. You're getting a simple story sent through, not overwhelming for the listener thematically, lyrically. I'm blown away by it, actually. Unusual to have the 808 there with the swishes and the da-da-da-da-da-da at the end. I'm not sure why we had that, whether that was meant to be some sort of like a little bit of extra kind of detail we might not have necessarily been aware of. But it shows the phenomenal studio production we've got going in here, because that sub-bass resonance sounds commercial grade. You know, the balance and control of it is fantastic. Because this is the conclusion of my review of this track by an act named Logan Kelly titled I'm Not Sorry. What I think this track is about, I think it's about someone who was saying they're not sorry for how they behaved or acted in a relationship. They said a love letter or a heartbreak, so I'm wondering if, like, it's up to the person receiving this message to decide for themselves what it means to them. But he's just saying, look, this is who I am. This is where we are at, and we've just got to just kind of move on from this point. I think there's a lot of people that sort of be able to relate to that message there. I think that it's clearly meaningful to Logan, and it's something they wanted to, you know, there's a bit of ambiguity to it that I think makes it more approachable to a lot of people. It's not too personal to him. I think that makes it more open and accessible, and kind of lets you, shows a little bit of vulnerability without too much, if you know what I mean. But altogether, I'm very happy with this track. From a story perspective, the minimalism of its simplicity, you know, it's a good start. The vocals from Logan are fantastic. I love the technique in the hidden chest voice. the vibrato there, the casual kind of caring sensual performance that we have across the mic, the way that we emoted throughout the performance was very believable and authentic sounding. And in general, it's just a really great first impression to Logan Kelly's work. I'm not surprised that this track has 40,000 plays. It deserves more, to be honest. It's commercial grade from various perspectives, not including the vocals. Not just the vocals, should I say. And I think that we told the story in a way that, again, was believable, so everything was very well connected there. There was some interesting effects on the vocals from a studio production standpoint, but I think regardless of that, and as you know, considering the length of the track being very short, you could have these simple lines sung with slight variations of the way the melodies were done on the tail ends. And I also like the fact that Logan did not feel the need to coat the entire song in his storytelling. You know, he knew to step away to allow the theme, the backing, the accompaniment speak for itself or sing for itself. I think that was a smart idea as well. Makes it less of an ego project. It's great. The track outside of the vocals and the storytelling was 2 minutes 30, 2 minutes 40-ish, and that's well within the sweet spot of the 2 to 4 minutes that I usually think singles are going to do well at. Because people have limited attention spans nowadays, and you really can't take the audience's time for granted. You need to make sure that if you're going to give them a track to listen through, and if you want them to listen through the whole entire way, you need to make sure that you give them not too much to kind of chew through, if that's what I mean. And like, the length was short, so it was easier for people, but also just a phenomenal amount of range with the various instruments, tones, and textures and stuff within this track. Like, this was an absolute feast of various synth textures, various tones and timbres, and colorations building upon a similar motif that was repeated throughout the track, with a lovely balancing of bass and percussion, floaty pads, synth arpeggiated sequences, and leads. And then when you put that together, you amalgamate it with the vocal performance that was incredibly competent and a story that was meaningful and accessible, you've got a really great track. And it's not just that we had interesting sounds put together and that we had the basics, the fundamentals of music theory and composition sorted with the way that we put these different chord progressions and bass lines together, but it was that they sounded so fresh, and that wasn't just a studio production perspective. It was going and notching things with a specific frequency range to kind of articulate themselves throughout the frequency spectrum in the stereo field in a way that was very meaningful. We didn't just do drum beats, we did them where they panned around the place. We also had variations with the drum beats and grooves, as well as the intensity in the various frequency ranges. And I can understand why this guy is finding success. It's really well done and really well thought out. And as I understand it, I think this guy is 19, which is just incredible. It just shows the talent that we have from the generations coming up, you know. When I was 19, we had barely any of the audio production, music production tools we have today. What they're not only doing is that, you know, the youngins, they're making the most of these tools and actually creating really incredible music, and I'm so thankful to be able to review it. It's awesome, man. But yeah, basically it's really cool, and I'm happy with the theme itself. The theme was that of wonderment. Like, we're sort of fantasizing about the possibilities, the I'm not sorry part. Maybe we have an openness and are willing to check out the future and move beyond the kind of crappy situation we're in this relationship where we didn't know. We just felt bad and guilty, and maybe we're experiencing freedom now, just saying, look, I know I wasn't enough. I'm not sorry for it. What happened. Let's just go forward. I think there is an optimism for the future, despite a trepidation about what occurred and potentially the reaction to it. You're just leaving it up to them to decide. And I think that was communicated well through the music, and I think everything was reasonably well connected. Finally, the studio production, recording, mixing, and mastering was basically the icing on the cake. We had a wonderful presence to the voice, as well as various ways of approaching it, not only with like sort of reverb laden parts with less kind of effects, with like oscillations and like floaty parts, and we knew when to sort of cake more on top and like put it away. I think there was a great balancing and differentiation throughout the track in that respect, with the vocal effects change and such. But it's also all the different panning decisions with the automation of the panning for like the drum parts, etc. And it's also just what was going on with the various synth layers, how they were spinning around the stereo field, how they're kind of mesmerizing and hypnotic, and kind of sucked you in, and it was great. I wasn't sure again why we had the low end bass resonance, but at the outro part, but it sounded dope, you know. We had great controlling of the various frequencies in the frequency spectrum there. Things were well articulated in the stereo field. Like, you know, things were leveled incredibly well. And, you know, there was dynamic range to it as well, which I appreciate. It wasn't loud all the time. You know, you can't have the track loud all the time, even if it's short. You need peaks and troughs, right? I mean, finally, just, you know, the limiting compression, it was nice and loud without pumping. And this is basically a very, very positive review. Like, probably one of the more positive reviews I've given in quite a while for a track by Logan Kelly titled I'm Not Sorry. And hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go check out Logan Kelly via their various social medias and a Spotify page. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as need to help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.